Well, good afternoon.
Hello.
We are the Lupin About podcast, and I'm Alicia, also known as AK47 on Ravelry.
And I'm Liz, also known as Lizzie215 on Ravelry.
And Liz is going to be busy knitting today, but I don't have anything to work on because I finished all the things.
You're so lucky!
So, first up is this. I'm wearing a finished object.
Ooh,
Liz
pretty.
didn't even notice.
No, Liz has had other issues, so that's okay.
So this is the Rochambeau cowlette that I showed you guys last time that I started. It is made out of another Crafty Girl yarn. And I want to say she's from Minnesota.
Okay.
Right? Because we got this at ZK.
Doesn't necessarily mean she's from Minnesota.
So she might be in the Midwest area. I'm thinking Minnesota. It started to pool really fun right at the end. Did you guys see that? It found a good cadence right at the end. It started to pool a little bit here. Like you could see that the gray stripe is building and building, and then big gray blob. Awesome. This is the Budgie Wudgie colorway. I really like this cowlette. Sean decided that since it can cover your nipples, that he can wear it without a shirt.
Only Sean.
I told him no, but I'm not his boss, so who knows? So this is for Sean because he loves this baby blue that's throughout this. I call it electric blue, and he calls it baby blue. You can see that bright blue right there. He likes. Finished object.
Yay.
In time for Stash Dash.
Yes. So how many yards?
I made it.
Oh wait, we're gonna talk about something else, and then we'll talk about your
Yeah.
Stash Dash yards.
Well, this was part of Stash Dash too. So my thesis is finally complete.
Not a thesis. You did it in less than 6 months.
Right, I did it in 5 months and a number of days. Yeah, I think I cast it on in March, like 16th, finished September 20th.
So less than 6 months.
Less than 6 months. So I will have to call it something else, just an FO. Super fun. If you saw me on Instagram, I showed you the cocoon look. Very exciting. Might plug it in right here. Do you want to try it on? Because this is going to be an FO for you.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Eventually.
one day.
Maybe this will inspire her just by wearing it. So yeah, so that's the bottom.
That's
so
the
put
bottom.
that on first. But
Jeez.
it's
It's
roomy.
big.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's gonna be so, and it is so warm.
Okay, so that's cowl-like.
Mm-hmm. You can see the finishing edge there.
So pretty. I love it. I have little shoulders compared to you.
And then it billows by your neck.
I was never a swimmer. So.
You got it. And then you just like fuss this stuff up top.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
look at my poncho.
But isn't that great? Oh,
I love the color. That'll keep you toasty.
oh yeah, I was warm.
I like it. I'm
Sean
so
got to be
excited
our
to get
photographer.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna get yours done someday. Maybe by the end of the year.
Yeah, you keep on dreaming.
Because hers is definitely a thesis.
Mine is definitely a thesis. I'm still working on Minion #1 sweater. The only thing, I had to rip back about 20 rows because
It was sad. She said she was frogging, and I almost cried for you.
I found 2 errors. Had it been 1 error, I probably could have glossed over it, but it was 2. And I was like, and it was throwing my stitch count way, like not way off, but off enough to me with my OCD. I had to rip it back. So
Yeah.
I have ripped it back, and I have knit past the point where I was. But if I had not ripped it back, I could probably be just finished with the body and working on the sleeves right now. But unfortunately, no. So
Work in the present.
Yep,
That's where we're at.
and it's all about the process. But no, I'm still loving it. It's still fun.
It has grown since last we
It
saw
has
it.
grown a little bit since last you saw it, probably about an inch. But take that in mind that it went back 20 rows and then went back up. So
sad.
yeah.
So did you have a lifeline in? Has
No.
this encouraged lifelines?
No, because
No.
I don't know where I would have had the lifeline. Like it wasn't that like hard or anything. So I ripped back to basically the collar.
So
Because
was
I found
it in
the
the
error.
lace?
No, it was in one of the increases.
One of
And
the
while I
raglan
can-
increases.
And while I can usually, I can go back and fix it, because it was in one of the raglan increases, then it was like 5 stitches over, and it would have just like, no. So it was just too hard. It was easier to just rip it out and put it, and just go back in.
And when you see it on a little person, you're probably going to notice that an increase was missing. Like on our increases that go forever,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't notice it.
And I mean, had it just been I missed 2 ride lining increases in 2 different sections. So had it just been one section, I probably just would have added it in, no problem. But the 2 different sections, I was worried that even those 2 stitches would make the sweater look wonky. So me and my OCD, I took it out. And
that's fine. You're gonna be happy with it.
No, I am, and now it's perfect. Everything's perfect. So
is that how you guys feel about frogging? You never regret doing it, but you regret not doing it.
Yeah, I think that's me. I never regret doing it.
Yeah, I'm always the one to be like, pulling it out.
So true.
Put it on the ball winder. We're taking it all out.
Put it on the ball winder. Exactly.
Oh man. Well, we've started our swaps in our group. The first one being the squeaky clean swap, which involves a washcloth. Yep, I've got a prop this time because mine came in.
Yeah, Alicia was first.
I'm number 1 in the group. So this is from Annette. Do you? God, the texture is amazing, and it's purple, and it's a dark purple that I love.
Bye, Kitty. I don't want you.
Kitty likes to get in one's face, and she doesn't realize that that's not polite.
Ah, did she tell you what pattern and stuff?
She did. She said it was a homemade pattern, and she sent me the notes on it because she says it's probably on Ravelry, but she doesn't know what the name is.
Yeah,
so
she kind of looks like a mock basket weave.
It's really pretty.
That is awesome.
And it's big. And so is the soap. So she sent me a lavender rosemary. Ooh. And that's handmade, folks. Cut off a block. I'm very excited.
Can I smell?
Yeah, it smells delicious.
Oh, that does smell awesome.
So, if you haven't received the box yet, which would be not me and not Annette. No, Annetta. Annetta was after me. We've gotten our box. But inside the box is an envelope with your name on it, your Rav handle on there. And it tells you inside who the next person is going to meet with their address.
Oh, cool.
So she made this super easy. Annette, thank you so much for organizing this swap.
Yes, Annette, thank you so much.
Endless thanks, because that sweet little card inside, everybody's information's in there, and it's perfect. It's one stop. You receive, you fill up a new box, take it to the post office, you're ready to go. It's good fun. So I posted my pictures. Annetta posted her pictures. I don't know who's next. I probably would have known if I decided to recall the order. I did know. I know what number she is.
I'm last.
You're last.
I'm last. I know that. I'm last.
I was like, should I tell Liz that she doesn't have to stress about her washcloth yet? Because
I don't have to. I told you I knit mine already. We haven't shown it to you because I want it to be a surprise for Annette. But yes, it is done. So there's no stressing.
So we're all good. But not only did Annette send me the start of that swap, she sent Liz a box.
She did.
And she gave special instructions.
Yes. She asked me to not open the box until Alicia and I were together.
We're together.
We're together. So I got this box last week and been waiting excitedly to open it.
Now, I've opened the flaps so that we didn't make lots of noise on this. But
yes.
It's time to open the box. Are you ready? Ooh, there's a card.
There's a card.
You need the card.
Okay, yeah, you get the card. How do you like your thanks? With cream and sugar frothing over straight up. It's got like little coffee cups on it.
So Seattle.
Ladies, in this box is a bunch of soaps that I make. The descriptions are on a separate papers that I use when I donate them for auction in our local animal shelter. Also, I have passed along scraps for Liz's scrap blanket.
Oh my goodness. You've made a new friend for life.
P.S. Only one rosemary lavender soap because Alicia got the other one in the swap. Thanks the latte. That's the inside of the card. Thanks for the fun podcast. Remember, it is fun. Enjoy, Annette. Yay!
Oh my goodness.
Oh, because she says the scraps are too small for her to use, but I use everything.
She uses it all.
Thank you so much,
Oh
Annette.
my gosh, look at those yarns.
Yay! So I got scraps for my scrap blanket.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited.
Loads. That'll get her like 17 hexie puffs right there.
Yeah, or more.
Alright, so we've got my morning coffee is one.
Rosemary
so
lavender.
That one's hers. This one smells like chocolate. Like milk chocolate. So I'm thinking, yep, chocolate.
Oh, here's the coffee one.
Okay. Coffee 1 is moisture and exfoliate with real coffee and other coffee spices and essential oils.
Annette, I need to come to your house
Show
so you
the
can
colors.
teach me how to make soap.
Gosh, that's amazing.
And it smells. Well, it smells like chocolate to me.
Because this is worn off, I'm thinking. So this is the chocolate one.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's it.
Kind of see the color. This one's made with real milk chocolate, cocoa, and cocoa butter. But don't eat it. Done.
And then we've got
an oatmeal cinnamon. Did you find the oatmeal
No,
cinnamon?
I found pumpkin.
Oh. Is there a pumpkin one? Pumpkin swirl. More pumpkin folded into a gentle soap for a toning face wash. Oh, it does smell like
I'm gonna guess this one might be the oatmeal cinnamon then, because it's not labeled. No, wait, it's faded.
Okay, this one's mint.
This one's citrus.
Yeah, that's mint.
This one's citrus.
Okay, that one.
I think that's it. That's
Sunny citrus.
Sunny citrus.
Lots of lather with light citrus scent. Oh, I'm gonna love that one.
You're gonna love that one.
Mild mint, lightly scented mint with a creamy white lather.
Ooh.
So this one. So excited. That's the chocolate. Yeah, we're splitting all of these.
Yeah, thank you so much, Annette.
I would love to double up on that citrus, but it's not gonna happen.
Yes,
we're gonna share all the things. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you are in our swap with us, whether you're participating or not, Annette put up a YouTube. Was it a YouTube?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, on how to make soap. So if you're interested in what...
She did? I didn't see
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's... Liz isn't paying attention again. She's too busy.
Lizzie, yes, I am way too busy.
I'll point at it.
Yeah,
I'll reply
send me
to
a
it.
link. I need to look. Yes, I will look on how to make soap.
Because remember, Liz said a couple podcasts ago that she would think that if she had the time, the extra time in her world,
Yeah.
which it sounds like soap doesn't really involve a lot of babysitting.
Okay, it's,
Right,
it's
if
more
it's in
of
a crock
set, if you
pot,
set, it's a set and forget.
Put it in, it'll do its thing, and then you just retrieve it when it's done.
I might have to start going to thrift stores to find an old crock pot to use
do it.
to start making some soap.
It might even be worth it to invest in a new one. But
No,
label
I'm
it
sure you can
hardly.
I'm sure I can find an old one in thrift stores. People always get rid of crock pots.
So I'm so excited. So if you are waiting in the wings for a box, it's probably coming your way. I think there's only like 7 of us on the list. So it's gone through 2 people. It's in the mail. And Liz is last, so you know what order it might be in at that point. So exciting. Well, speaking of scents, I got a box that smells delicious. I want to get a smell of that. So the barmaids at Lolo Bar, I had to make an order because Sean had a mini of this. This is a balm. This one's beach bum. And I believe it said pineapple, mango,
that one's new.
and sandalwood.
Let me smell that.
That was delicious. I was like, yes. And then this
Oh.
one,
That one does smell good.
I don't know what this one's supposed to smell like. But this one's a gourmet stash. So this is a special one, and it might still be in her her listing. And
No, that one's all you. That
so
one's all
Sean went
citrusy.
through that small one real fast. So I got him the big one of pink grapefruit, which is his favorite right now. Now, they are very strongly scented.
Mm-hmm. A little
So,
goes a long way.
A little goes a long way. I have a passion fruit one that I've had for years.
I'm gonna use a little bit of
Because
this beach bum.
even just a little bit is enough to put it into my knits. So I like to rub my hands in the balm and then knit. So it gets inside the knit. I like that a
I
lot.
borrowed the beach bum.
Do it. And then we also got soap. So toasted coconut. Smells delicious. And that's a special too. I think it's a limited run. And you can show the color off.
Oh, it's really pretty.
Mhm.
I can't smell the coconut though.
Really?
Maybe I'm just scented out.
Yeah. She might have overdone it with her hand stuff. Since Sean loves pink grapefruit, I got pink grapefruit. And isn't that gorgeous? It swirls.
You got a lot of
Super
soaps.
fun. Yeah. And then one more. I think this is also a limited run. I think this one's the blackberry sage. Am I correct? Yes, I am. Blackberry sage. So this it's a 4.5 ounce. So I got a skein of soap. Isn't that
Pretty.
Isn't that gorgeous? sounds blackberry sage. It smells like candy. Like a candy from childhood. I don't know if you had that candy when you were a kid, but oh my
It
goodness.
does smell like candy. It smells like
Sweet tarts or something.
either sweet tarts or like grape bubblicious.
Mm-hmm. So that's Lolo Bar. That is barmaids.com. They are local to us. They're in Washington. And I really love them. I used to get their stuff at my local yarn store, but my local yarn store doesn't order them anymore. So I had to do an order myself. Which is kind of a bummer, but at the same time, I get to go direct. Direct isn't bad.
Cut out the middleman.
Exactly. Let's see. Did I go over what that was?
Yeah.
You guys have seen it enough. You know what that is.
The Pull and Conquer.
So I have something needle adjacent. I think you do too.
I do have something needle adjacent.
I think it's the same thing.
Is it the part of your world, MKAL?
Yep, so part of your world. Yeah, that is a Little Mermaid reference. Do you remember the beaded shawl that I finished
Enchanted Rose.
It was an Enchanted Rose off of, I always say Lion King, and it's not that. It's Beauty and the Beast. I don't know why that always pops in my head. This Enchanted Rose is in that cloche. I mean, come on, Alicia, remember. Anyway, same person, Lily Go. She's doing mystery knit along 5 of them in a row that are all based on Disney
Yes.
themes. So first one I finished, that was the one that had lace going in both directions, and I said, I don't know if I like it. Well, I signed up for another one, so I must not have hated it. Go me. But I picked my yarn.
Yay!
I am going solid this time. She calls for gradients. I used a gradient last time, and then I ran out, so I'm just going to do a solid. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of blue. See the blue? This is Succulent Fibers. I went to look them up on Ravelry to see what this base is called, and it's not there. So I'm just going to tell you, it's 50% merino, superwash merino, and Tessa silk. So it's got kind of a rough finish on it, but maybe it'll soften up when we wash it.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? And there's 475 yards. This is called River Ash. Pretty awesome name. So remember where we got this? I think we're both using things from this actual shipment.
Yes, we used to be part of the Fiberista Club.
Mm-hmm. And you could choose...
You could choose your base, or whether you either worsted
your
or
hue
larger.
and your bases.
Yes.
Yeah. So you either got worsted and larger, or you got DK and lower.
Mm-hmm.
So we went for DK and lower.
And you chose the cool color, your hues.
I did. So my hues were always blues and purples and like lighter.
Yeah, cool
lighter,
tones.
cool tones.
Right. Well, I chose mystery.
Anything.
I was up for anything.
And so I'm using this one. I'm using the Tessa Silk. Oh, and it always came with 2 skeins.
Yes.
So that was, I think that's what really got us into it, is because we had a lot of single skeins in our stash that you always feel like you don't have enough, or you're going to have lots of leftover. Right?
Or you're gonna have to like do some, some color combining, which isn't a bad thing. But sometimes you don't want.
Sometimes you just want a project
exactly
in one color.
Yeah.
So that's why we did this one.
So I am going to use actually a gradient. It's Chromatique Color in Motion. It was a gradient kit.
I see that.
Yeah.
You see all those colors?
I think I'm gonna go in reverse orders. I think I'm gonna
start over here.
No, I'm going to do the outside in the yellow.
Okay.
I don't think I want that yellow near my face.
Aha. So the part of your world is going to be a bottom up.
Yeah. So
now she called the last one bottom up too, but it kind of built this way.
Yeah, but this one starts with a picot edging already. Like
and
that's the first
with a
so
lot
I'm pretty
of
sure.
stitches.
Yeah, it's like 360 stitches. So I'm pretty sure this one is definitely bottom up.
So 360 for the small. And mine's going to be 550 for the large. So I'm hoping that's the largest number on needles.
And I know you decided you're not going to do beads this time, but since I've never done a beaded project.
No, I am.
Oh, you are?
Anetta's not.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I went and bought beads, so I bought beads today.
Those are really pretty.
Ben Franklin, which is a local craft store to us. The ladies were
lovely. You guys
lovely.
would probably call it a big box store, but it's a local local big box.
It's like a
for us.
Joann's, but just local. Ben Franklin is only here, and there's only one. And the ladies are lovely and super nice. So the beading lady helped me pick the beads for this section. She pointed me in the right area.
Those are gonna go well with all the colors.
Because I've never
Really
done
pretty.
beads, so I was excited. And not super.
We've
I
got
don't
our
know why I
crochet needles
I
for
don't-
beading.
I don't know why I thought beads would be super expensive.
I thought
Why
so
not?
too. And then I went in and I was like, it was $5 for 700 beads or something.
Yeah, mine was. This is about 306. Yeah, about 300 beads, or 320, and they were like each $2. So 660 beads for $2.
It's awesome.
So I was very excited. And so yeah, have not started that, even though the first clue is out, because I'm trying to get
First
this
clue
sweater
is out.
done.
Yeah, the first clue came out and I was still in the midst of this. And then I was like, oh, let's see what I could finish on Sunday. And I finished this yesterday. So I thought, oh, I'll do it on Monday because I think the next clue is going to come out Tuesday?
I don't know. I will be behind on the MKL, but I'm okay with that.
I feel like this is going to be a bit of a slog at first if we're starting at the bottom up.
Yeah.
But I think you get a break while the bigger sizes get more info.
Right.
Because ours are going to grow slower, so she's giving us more time, which is nice because the last time it came out and I was overwhelmed at one point. When we had to
so
use
Alicia's
like
going to do
60
the
grams in one
large.
day.
I'm going to do a size in between the small and the medium because the medium calls for 600 yards. I only have 550 in my kit. The small is 380, so I figure if I add a pattern repeat, which is a pattern repeat seems to be 24 stitches. If I add one, maybe 2 pattern repeats. I think maybe 2. I'll get a size slightly smaller than the medium, but use up more of my yarn.
And by being behind, you can see what's coming and see which one you want to.
Well, no, I think I have to. Oh, wait, no.
Right? Because it could change as you go, right? The pattern could change. I mean, that's why it's a mystery, right? Because
well, no, it
this
wouldn't be
part's gonna be
doubling
different
up
from
on.
that
It
one.
would just be the length.
oh, you're just making it wider.
Yeah, making it wider.
Okay, so your pattern repeat's going to be wider. Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking you're adding more in the body.
Oh,
but you're not.
I hadn't thought of that. I could
Yeah.
do that too.
The jury's still out.
Now I don't know. I just assumed because the pattern repeat was 24,
Yeah.
I would make it slightly longer.
Both of these ideas make sense. So if you have anything to weigh in on, if you've made alterations to things that we're talking about, shawls, I don't know. A deeper sounds like a good plan, but wider sounds like a good plan.
Deeper. You know what? Maybe I'll just do one repeat longer.
Yeah.
And then save. I'll do both.
Okay.
And then save maybe add depth.
Yeah, before decreases start, like add another
section.
section.
Aha. I'll do each.
I like this.
I like this plan too.
Okay. Okay, now I think we have a plan.
I think I have a plan. And we'll see how it goes.
And as my dad says, without a plan, you can't detour.
Well, because the thing is, like the only difference in depth, if I remember correctly from the sizes, is 3 inches. So it's not like the medium is much deeper,
Right.
Because I think the small was 14 inches and the medium was 17 inches.
Okay, yeah, that's not much different.
No.
Yeah, Annette and I did the medium last time, and we wore it at ZK together, which was so cool. And then we realized that maybe it wasn't big enough, so we're gonna try the large and see if we like a bigger size this time.
Okay.
Not that I'm giving that away, even though I could. I do that.
I'm gonna have
often.
to check the sizes to see if they're the same
Length.
sizes. Yeah,
Yeah.
between what you guys did for Enchanted Rose and then...
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. It's a very smart idea. Can you tell I haven't even looked at the pattern? Because I haven't.
This is what we do. This is why we talk things out.
Yeah. We like to make hypotheses on things that we haven't researched yet.
Yes.
She's researched a little.
I researched a
sounds
little. Well, because I had to figure out the beads and how much. Wasn't gonna buy yarn because remember I'm trying to stash.
We're stashing down. We were in the Fiberista Club like 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
This is
exactly.
years ago.
This is to let you know how much stash we have.
So this is when we would hang out together in Bellevue all the time. So I used to carpool with my husband to his
when
work
he
in
worked
Bellevue.
in Bellevue, yeah.
And I would hang out at a hotel in the lobby and knit all day long and get together with Liz for lunch because she also works in Bellevue. So hers was like, let's do lunch and then knit for the rest of the day. Yes. So we used to do that a lot. That was years ago because Sean's been at his job right now for 2 years almost. So yeah, it's been at least 2.5 years.
It's been 2 years. Yeah.
So this is deep stash for us.
And this is deep stash for us, which is a good thing because this is the goal.
Yeah, because I think we're only in our 4th year of knitting.
Yep. Well, yeah, because I will be going into my 5th year of knitting because I learned
at the end of this year.
Yeah, and
right?
like I learned to knit in October the year before I had my first minion, so that's how I know.
And I started that following year.
Mm-hmm.
So she got hooked. I got her. Okay, so I was crocheting a lot because I commuted with Sean to Bellevue for 2 of his jobs. So for 3 years or so, I was commuting to Bellevue, and I would bring something along. And that's when we started doing lunch on Wednesdays. And I was crocheting, and you're like, that seems familiar. Have I crocheted before?
This is me, yes.
Can you show me? And so I showed her. I refreshed your crochet skills.
Yes.
And then she was crocheting for a while. And then she kept saying, what do you think about knit? What do you think about knit? And I'm thinking, nope, I can't learn a new skill.
Yes, she did.
Because crochet was hard for me. Crochet was hard because I'm left-handed. I got taught by someone who is right-handed, but I still did it left. But then I didn't really learn it correctly. So I was plugging out hats like crazy. I didn't know how to read a pattern or anything. This was all like free, just on my own. And then I realized I was crocheting incorrectly. So instead of crocheting through the 2 V's, I was only crocheting through 1. So everything I did was like kind of ribbed.
Super long.
It's kind of ribbed and kind of open, right? So then I got the Happy Hooker book, which is amazing.
Happy Hooker is pretty awesome.
The best source that I had was that book. And that taught me so much stuff because it has right-handed and left-handed tutorials in it. And I go back to it all the time still, to this day. And then I learned how to read patterns. And so at that point, that's when Liz and I started crocheting together. When I started to get some confidence back in this crochet thing that I kind of knew but didn't know anything about. And then she got into knitting, and I said, I had the hardest time with this crochet thing. I don't want to have stumbling blocks on something else crafty. So I fought it for a while.
You did.
And then we were separated by an ocean.
Yeah, then she moved to Hawaii, and that's when she learned to knit.
I moved to Hawaii, and I learned to knit in Hawaii, which is funny because
it's too hot. No one knits.
Wear knitwear in Hawaii, but crochet actually works because it gives you that really open, drapey stuff. But I realized that knit can do that too. So I learned to knit at Aloha Yarn, which is in Kaneohe on the east side of the island of Oahu. And Nanea is the proprietor of that shop, and she taught me how to knit. And I met my first knitting group. And they are amazing. Every single one of those ladies. Oh my goodness. And then I think within the first week of me learning how to cast on, Liz is like, hey, let's do this cowl together.
And not an easy cowl. My sister had asked me for like a cowl, and I had like cables. And I'd been like dabbling in knitting for about 6 months or something. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that.
I could totally do cables.
I totally do cables.
So I sat down with a friend of mine, Marie, because she's like, hell yeah, you should do cables as your first item ever. And so she sat down with me. She's like, I'll show you what a cable is. It's so easy. And I was like, all right, that's cool. So she showed me, and I'm like, oh, that's just like French braiding, right? You just hold something to the side, and you just braid. Like, literally, like, that's that in my brain. I was like, I can French braid. I could do cables. It's all good.
Oh, that's too funny. I forgot about that.
It took me the first 50 lines were slow. Because Nanea would tell me, don't rip anything out. If you mix anything up, just bring it in. Don't rip it out. Because there was another girl that had just learned, and she would do something, and if it was messed up, she'd pull it all the way back to the original ball and start again. She's like, don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. Just bring it in. So almost every day I was at Aloha Yarn getting things fixed. So this is the pink Tata cowl that we're talking about. I have it upstairs. I could go. I'm gonna go get.
But anyways, yes, it was very fun. Well, I'll tell you where I learned today while Alicia goes and get this. I learned on a train from Seattle to Portland. My husband surprised me with like an anniversary trip for our wedding, and we went down. We took the train down to Portland for the weekend, and I was gonna learn to knit. I bought the supplies, and I got the Stitch and Bitch to go along with the Happy Hooker book that I already had before. And I, for the 3.5, 4 hour train ride from Seattle to Portland, read this book, had my needle and yarn, and figured out how to knit. At least I thought I was figuring it out. And actually I did pretty good. But since I'd never seen knitting, I'd never really been exposed to knitting, I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. So once we reached Portland, I dragged my poor husband to a yarn store.
Give me an hour.
Yeah. That I had found while we were on the train that would give knitting lessons for an hour.
That's awesome.
And so I walked into the yarn store and I was like, so I've been reading this book and I think I'm doing it right. Can you please let me know if I'm doing it right? And lovely lady was there and she sat down for me, and it was just walking. You could walk in and for an hour they would teach you how to knit. And
do you know which yarn store it was?
They're not there anymore. They closed. It was
probably because they were giving you so many free lessons.
No, it was $10. I paid my $10 for my hour. Nice. Yeah, they were in the Pearl District, and they're not there anymore. Because I was just in Portland 2 weeks ago, and went to go to look it online to see if they were still there, and they were not there.
That is so sad. It's
but
hard
yeah,
to be an LYS.
It is hard to be an LYS, but yeah, that's how I learned to knit. And then she gave me some good knitting resources. I mean, when you type it in, there's a ton. She directed me to knittinghelp.com, which is a good one. They have a good instructional videos.
How about Pink Knits? I use Pink Knits a lot.
I haven't used Pink Knits a lot. I use either Knitting Help, which is good because she does a lot of videos continental.
Oh, okay.
I knit continental. Alicia knits.
I went in to learn continental and it came out.
She's a thrower. Mm-hmm. I'm a picker.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Knitting Help because she does videos both ways.
Okay. And
then I usually use Knit Pearl Hunter a lot.
Yeah, I use Knit Pearl Hunter too. So this is the cowl we started on.
Yeah, that's what I said. That was our first major project knitting.
Now this is when my tension was really tight. So those were the cables we were doing. You couldn't see it before because my tension is so tight you can't see it. So when I returned to Seattle, I was still making this. Now I had made a few things while this was on the needles. I finished some other things that were like seed stitch cowls, which were really fun. But I came back to Seattle, and in 2 months, my friend was going to meet me here in Seattle, and I said, I'm going to finish this before she gets here because she saw me go through this entire thing, and it's going to be done. Well, I didn't know how to do
Kitchener stitch. You didn't want to learn to do Kitchener stitch.
I didn't want to learn it. Like, this was too overwhelming. Like, really? Cables was enough for me? That was my accomplishment. That's all I wanted to accomplish in this first thing. So I learned a 3-needle bind off, and from that day forward, this has been my join.
That's her go-to.
My join. I mean, seriously. And yeah,
I think I did a 3-needle bind off too because I just wanted it to be done.
Just wanted it to be done. And there were so many purls and knits.
Yes.
There were no rest rows on this where you were going to be like, yeah, just knit across and you're done. No. You had to be in pattern doing stuff. No.
Maybe that's what got you hooked on the whole hard part. You have to be engaged. See?
Yep, I started. I jumped in. So my other thing I was going to say, when I came back to Seattle, Seattle Yarn has always been my local yarn shop. We used to live in West Seattle. So Ruth knew me very well for all my crochet skills, and I did samples for her for the longest time. And she said, you need to loosen up your gauge. And I was like, no, it's fine. I like the way it looks. She's like, no, you're going to hurt yourself. And I said, oh, my hands could get hurt. My real hobby is climbing. I can't have my hands get hurt. So that drove me from being the tightest knitter on the planet to loosening up my gauge. And it took that. People could have told me anything until she told me that my hands were going to be injured. I wasn't going to listen to anybody's advice. But yeah, I'm really glad she finally put that little tidbit of information out there. Loosen your cage if you want to be a long knitter.
Long-term knitter.
Yeah, and I am. I knit every single day.
Yes.
So that's how we started. It's her fault.
It's my fault.
That
That's
I'm a knitter.
okay.
And it's my fault we have a podcast.
Yes.
So can we be even?
Payback. We're even. We're good to go.
I think, nope, there's one more thing.
What?
Eureka! So remember that Liz did a yarn sock yarn swapper?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had to do one so we could be even because we split that one down the middle. So this one, so Sock Yarn Swappers group on Ravelry, which I think I've linked before. I'll link again. And this is the sockyarnswappers.etsy.com. So she makes up mini skeins, and you could just buy ready-made mini skeins from all kinds of dyers. So this one is Despondent Dyes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the colorways, here's the list. Picking Sprinkles. Even my attorney says, he kept the dog. All of my. There's 2 one-of-a-kind colors in there, too. Tainted Love. It's only love until it's not. Lipstick on his collar. Wow, this
What is this?
sounds like
Is this-
cheating. I don't even know.
Is this like the
Pushing
Good Wife
50
or something?
pink. Oh, no. It has a theme going through
No
it.
kidding.
It doesn't sound very happy. But that's Despondent Yarns. I think what happens is she's now doing podcast groups. She puts out a swap for a dyer in a podcast group. So this is from the Yarn Hoarder podcast group. Well, if it doesn't sell out by the time she needs to start sending these out, she puts it up in her normal place, which is the Sock Yarn Swappers, and puts open to the public. Well, I got on this one because it didn't fill up. And her prices changed. She's like, this is going to be the last one before the prices go up. And I said, well, to keep it even, because Liz already bought one, that was for Haviland yarns.
Yes, Haviland.
And now we have Despondent to try. So it's a little sampler. If you haven't seen this yet, she sends out like a sample pack. So she gets full skeins, she breaks them down to minis, and then she distributes it in the group. And I think this was like $40.
Her prices aren't going up by much. I think they're only going up $5. And that includes shipping if you live in the U.S.
Yep.
It's not like you're paying
I think
extra
this was
for
35
shipping.
and it's 40 now.
Yeah.
But I got
That's
40
really
yards
nice.
of each. So is that 10 gram skein? It's 40 yards?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know how many are in there. A bunch? 2,
10.
4.
I'm going to assume they're always 10.
Yeah, yep, 10. So we're each going to get 5.
Yay!
We'll pick those after. But I'm really stoked. If you guys, I know some of you guys do make blankets out of scrap blankets. This is a good way to go. You can get 5 gram minis or 10 gram minis.
Yes.
And you pick, and you could get, she even has it so every time she does this, she makes 5 gram and 10 gram of all the skeins. And she says they're going to be independent of each other. So you could get...
You won't get the same colorway if you decide to double up.
Right. So if you decide to get the 5 gram and the 10 gram, you won't get the same colors.
Yep.
How cool is that? I even tried to tell her that I don't like pink. She's like, well, I don't know what's coming. She doesn't pick the colorways. I was like, okay, just know that if you have an option to not give me pink things, I'd like it. She's just
obviously
laughed.
not.
There's lots of pink in this one.
There's lots of pink.
And this one looks very familiar to something that you just did.
Yes.
And that I just gave you.
Yep.
So we'll see.
That's okay.
There's going to be more mini things coming out of that. Did you get anything in the mail?
Nope, that's just the box from
I'm
Annette.
super stoked with all those little minis you got.
Actually, you know what? I do have something for you.
Okay, you go do that. Our yarn train has started. I put that in the mail on Thursday. My days stick together. On Thursday of last week, I sent it out to Portugal. Don't know how long it's going to take. I have a tracking number. I put it up in the group. Philippa is looking for it. So when it arrives, she'll let us know. She has a lot of trouble with customs. They hold on to things, especially from us. Because this is the second thing we've sent. And it's gonna be a while, I think. So it's gonna go Portugal and then Sweden. So that's gonna be 2 more customs to go through, and then it'll come back to the U.S. So another customs to come through. So it'll be fun.
So me and my absent-mindedness, I ordered these for you for a while ago.
What? For me?
Presents.
Okay. Are they stitch markers?
And I forgot to give it to you.
Those are gorgeous, Liz.
So,
They're like burned on there.
Yes.
They're little ferns.
No, they're supposed to be lupins.
No
The top of
way.
lupins.
Oh, they are. Oh my gosh. Can
Yeah.
we send them out with stuff that we send?
Sure, we can always order
Oh
more.
my
I was just trying them
gosh.
out. I was just trying this vendor out from Etsy and stuff.
They're wooden.
And so they're progress markers. I think I ordered the progress markers. with
Yeah.
the little,
There's some stitch markers and some progress
okay.
keepers.
I ordered a little bit of each to see what they would look like.
Oh my gosh. You guys see that? They are little stalks of lupin. Oh, that's so awesome for lupin about.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they've been floating around in my bag for about a month. Let me tell you, I keep on forgetting, and finally today I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna remember. So, there you
That
go.
is
They're the
so
tops of little
rad.
lupins. And if we don't like that design, we can always send her something else to try.
Okay.
But
And
they're-
how much were they?
I can't
Remember?
remember. I'll have to look.
But we got like a dozen.
I think 8. They're pretty big. They're pretty.
Well, they are big. Yeah, 8. 4 progress
4 and
keepers
4,
and
yeah.
4. Oh, that's so awesome. Those are so pretty.
You're welcome.
Yay. She was looking out for us. Oh my goodness, that's so exciting. So check your mail. You might be having a swap or a train coming to your door, and we
Yes.
would love to hear how that review went.
All right.
I sent a second thing to Annetta. It hasn't arrived yet. I told her, you'll know it's from us because it's purple.
Well, you know, the eclipse might be doing something with the mail
That's
today.
true. I'm blaming the eclipse on everything.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. I thought if you came over earlier today, you would see the light difference that we would get because of it. We're not in the direct path, but
No.
we had most of it.
Well,
Was it a
yeah, but you know
90%
what?
or
That
something?
7% makes a huge difference. So here it just kind of got like early afternoon-ish
Yeah.
dark, and then it went bright again.
I'd say it was filtered light.
Yeah, it was filtered light, as
Yeah.
opposed to the path of totality. We're about 100 miles too far north to be in the direct path of totality.
And the traffic jam that
The
started
traffic, no
on
one wants-
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday started the traffic jam for people to get there for today, which
Get
is a
to
Monday.
Oregon, yeah. So
It's-
I didn't need to deal with that.
Nope. I wasn't going to.
But
Yeah,
happy
it's all
eclipse,
good.
everyone.
Yeah, Merry Eclipse Day. Thank you for joining us. And
Yeah.
until we knit again, you guys take care of yourself.
Have a good time.
Bye.